Well, good morning, YouTube. This is Chuck. As you can tell, I'm coming to you from the park this morning. I took Flapjack for a walk around the lake like we normally do, and it's nice and cool over here. So I thought I'd take the opportunity to sit down and make a little short video. Any of you that checked my community page this morning saw a couple of pictures on there about an incident that happened regarding a gifting stump. And I'm going to talk a little bit about gifting this morning. This will be a Bigfoot video. I'm going to talk a little bit about gifting this morning and tell you the background behind that story, because it's too long to try to cover in a paragraph or so on my community post. So I'm going to talk about gifting in general. It's a controversial subject among Bigfooters, and some people think it's a good idea that we ought to do it, and some people don't. And some people routinely gift, and I went through that phase. In fact, our whole group is still split on whether we should do that or not. But let me tell you that story first, and when I come back, then I'll tell you what my current philosophy is on that. But we went up to a place that is called Campo Bonito, and those of you that watched my previous Bigfoot video when I talked about Broken Mirror, well, Campo Bonito's only maybe a half a mile or so from Broken Mirror. And it's a big open meadow area with a lot of aspen trees. And years and years ago, there was a lumber mill there actually for a while. And so most of the trees around there have been harvested. And so all the ponderosa pines in there are all regrowth, the regen as we call it. But the philosophy behind a gifting stump or a gifting spot in general, and we normally use stumps, that's why we call them that, but is the idea that maybe you'd be able to draw the Sasquatch in by leaving them food. Well, back when I was still looking for undiscovered apes, I kind of thought that might be possible, or might be a good idea, and might work, and so we've done it, and my philosophy on it's changed over the years. But in this particular case, our gift stump was located a couple hundred feet away from camp, and the thing about a gift stump is you want it close enough to camp so you can go check on it pretty easy, but you want it far enough away where you can't see it, because you don't want to, the theory is, of course, that they won't come in and take anything if they think that you can see them do it. So you need to have it far enough away from camp where you can't see it, but close enough where you can walk over and check it fairly frequently. Well, Kevin and I went into Campo Bonito, and we both had stuff to put on the gift stump. And what you see, and if you're looking at that first picture, we use those little white powdered sugar donuts. And there's a couple reasons why we use those, and one of them is that if anything like a squirrel or a raven or anything like that comes and takes them, they're going to leave a heck of a mess, because as you know, you can't eat them without making a mess. And so if they just flat disappear and there's no trace of them, that meant that something picked them up and took them away and didn't break them and didn't shake them and didn't bang them on the stump. They just picked them up and took them. And so that's a clue toward us as to whether or not they were actually taken by our Sasquatch friends, or whether they were taken by a bird or something. Ravens are famous for coming and doing that, and so are squirrels. And so are skunks if they can get up there. Most gift stumps are tall enough that the skunks probably have a hard time getting up there. But in this particular case, we decided that we'd go out there and we'd put some stuff on the gift stump. Well, Kevin had the little white powdered sugar donuts, and so he put out 3 stacks of 2 and set them down very carefully so he didn't leave a big mess. Okay, the plate actually came from my house, and my wife had made some homemade donuts, and they kind of sat in the refrigerator a little long, and they were getting kind of long in the tooth, so she gave them to me, and she says, "Here, take them, see if your friends will want them." So on that plate, there's the homemade donuts, and the other little thing that you can see next to the rock is actually the donut holes. And there's, I forget how many of them there were there, but you can see on the plate. So we put that stuff out there at about 2:30 in the afternoon. Well, a little bit before dusk, around 6:30 in the afternoon, another one of our folks came up to visit with us, and so we decided to take her and walk out there and show her the gift stump. And we got out there at 6:30, and by golly, everything was gone. And that really surprised us, because that meant they came in broad daylight and took that stuff. But the interesting thing about that, and you can see from the second picture, is, you know, if that had been a squirrel, or if that had been a raven, or anything like that, any other creature, number one, it would have left a big mess with the powdered sugar. And number two, it most likely would have knocked that plate off on the ground. But that plate was moved, but it was carefully put back up there. The rock was moved off of it. Now, what does that? It takes something, you know, with an opposable thumb, pick that rock up and move it and set it back down on the stump. But what you see in the second picture is exactly what we saw when we walked up. So the donuts were all gone. The plate was moved, but it was still on top of the stump. The rock was moved off of the plate, and there was a chunk bitten out of the plate. Now that's, you know, that in itself is amazing enough. But the wind was blowing that day, and I was really surprised that plate was still there. I figured the wind would have blown it off. Now, to show you, I got to lean forward here a little bit. But to this day, here's that plate. I carry it with me. You can see the chunk bit out of the corner up there. And the plate's a little worse for the wear, because it's been bouncing around in the van for several years now. But that plate is still there. If you look at that bite mark is wider than a human bite could possibly be. But it's there. I'll move it up closer to the camera where you can get a better look at it. And there it is. That's the plate. Like I say, I've been carrying it around with me ever since. So let me set that back down. Let me talk about what my philosophy is on gifting now. And number one is, remember, we over the years, we've discovered that, number one, these aren't undiscovered apes, they're people. And number two, they're an advanced species from us. So thinking that you're going to bribe them to get them to come in by offering them some kind of trinkets or food or something, that's you know, you're insulting them basically. So do I still bring in gifts from time to time? Yes, I do. But what I do is I'll bring in the little white powdered sugar donuts, and I'll ask them if it's okay for us to leave those there for their young ones. Now, what do they like? You know, there's people that'll argue with you that bring them fruit, bring them this, bring them that. We found out that they get all that stuff that they want. They get all any kind of meat they want. They get any kind of vegetable matter that they want. Down around Crazy Town, there's a 100-year-old apple orchard down there, and because of the fact it's been there so long and all the animals have been eating apples off of it and then run them through their digestive system, there's apple trees growing all over the mountain. So the ones down there, they won't touch apples. Other places we've had them take apples, but I've also had them take apples, not like them, and leave them. So basically, what they like sweets, just like we do. They like stuff that they normally can't get. But it's not that you're insulting the elders if you think you're going to bribe them and get them to come and let you see them by offering them some kind of food. It's not going to happen. They're going to most likely get upset and not even come around you, or they'll voice their displeasure. So basically, when I leave the little donuts out, and I've got another place where I left donuts out, and I'll leave that for you on the thumbnail. But the story behind that one is we had little ones around us all evening. I left the donuts right outside, 3 foot away from the van, and as soon as I went in and went to bed, they came in and took the donuts, and they were out there squealing and making a bunch of noise because they were happy to have them. And when I put the donuts out there, I promised them I wouldn't try to look out the window and see them. And when they came in right away and took the donuts and were making a lot of noise, it was everything I could do to keep my promise and not get up and try to peek out the window and see them. But I did keep my promise. I laid in the bed, and I didn't try to look. But they were literally right outside my van, and they were making little noises like little wildcats that night. They were going, meow, meow, meow. And they've been doing that all evening. And you know, we knew it was them around us. So anyway, that's my thing about gifting. I don't want to insult them. I want to treat them with every kind of courtesy and respect that I can, because I do respect them. I think I'm getting an understanding about what they are. And the young ones aren't supposed to talk to us. They'll do a little bit. But the ones that are really going to talk to us and give us the information are the elders. And you're not going to get their cooperation, you're not going to get their trust, and you're not going to get any respect from them if you start calling them like you're calling your dog. So we just talk to them. We treat them with respect, like we're talking to, you know. I always say, you know, if you met the president, you wouldn't try to give him a donut, or the Pope. And so we try to treat our Sasquatch folks with respect as well. And once in a while, we'll get an elder that'll talk to us. And now, not all, even in our group, not everybody. Some of them are still putting out gifts, and we've had them take pies, and we actually had them. We asked them what kind of pie they wanted next time, and they actually told us one time bring apples, because at that particular spot they like apple pie, and so we did that. But a lot of times they like things like berry pie, and but that's gifting. It's controversial. Some people don't think we should do it. I don't do it very often, because I'm not necessarily interested in bribing their young ones anymore. I'm interested in interacting with their elders and trying to get questions answered and to understand them, and to widen my perspective on what they actually are. And we're doing a pretty good job on that. I think Kevin and I'm shooting this on, this is Thursday the 27th, and I'm shooting this next week. I think Kevin and I are gonna try to get up on the mountain for a couple of days. I haven't been out, of course, since my surgery. Kevin's knee's doing a little better, and so I think we're gonna try probably next Wednesday and Thursday to go get up on the mountain, and I'll bring you some videos from there. But from right now, I probably let this one go long enough. So as I always tell you, be kind to each other, love each other. It's a wonderful morning over here. It's beautiful. If you heard the geese in the background, I had a couple of Canadian geese. One of them decided didn't like the other one and was chasing him. I don't know if that picked up in the sound or not. But it's fairly quiet over here this morning, but it's just pretty. So let me turn this around where I can find a button, and I'll bring you another one here pretty quick. But for right now, I'm just going to tell you, peace out.